Hi everyone, here's another video from me, Mr. Rosen, where I'm going to be demonstrating how to make objects and classes in Java. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a class to model a movie. So let's go ahead and create a new project in NetBeans, Java application, and I'm going to call this thing movie object demo. All right, now inside of my package right here, I'm going to right click this thing here, create a new Java class, and this is going to be called movie. So don't call it movie object. Some people tend to do that. This is just going to model a movie, so just call it movie. All right, so here we go. So this is our movie class. Now, when you're making a class to model a movie in the real world, you got to think about what are some important features of a movie that someone might want to know. So I've already come up with a list. So let's go with string. We're going to type title because that's probably important, the title of the movie. Maybe the genre, if it's a comedy, an action, anything like that. And also put down the star. And the star, in my mind, is like who's starring it, right? So if it's Indiana Jones, it might be Harrison Ford is the star, and that's a name, so I'm putting a string. You can put actor, actress. There's all kinds of things you could do here. Let's do an int for the year of release. So when did it come out? And a double for the earnings. Okay, so that is basically it right there. So now I've got my movie object made. This is the simplest version ever. So I want to add some complexity into it right now. So what I'm going to do is add in the constructors. So I'm going to add 3 of them. So my first constructor here is going to be a public movie, and it's just going to be nothing in the brackets. This one here is called the default constructor. Default constructor always looks like this. It's public, there's nothing in the middle here, and then it's just the name of the class, movie, and in this case it's movie, and it's bracket. Now what you want to do with the default constructor is give all of these variables default values. So you might put title as maybe just quote, or you could put unknown, or NA, or anything you want. Genre, let's just put this as action. That's going to be the default value. Star, I'm just going to give it nothing. The year of release. You know what, for the year of release, let's do a random variable. Let's do, let's see here. Let's do random from 2000 to 2020, something like that. So to do this, I would go int bracket math dot random bracket times 21 plus 2000. That would give me a random variable, a random number between 2000 to 2020. Okay, and the earnings, same thing. Let's do earnings equals math dot random. Actually, no, let's just put the earnings to 0 instead of wasting time with that. Earnings is going to be 0. Okay. So there's the default constructor. Let's make another constructor now. Let's make a constructor where I'm going to send in every single piece of information. So the way I would do that is public movie, bracket. First thing is title. So let's go string. And you want to come up with a variable name that's similar to title but not exactly the same. A lot of people, what they do is just put an underscore in front. So title. Next one would be the genre. So string underscore genre. And then the star, string underscore star. Next thing is the year of release, which is an int. So int underscore year of release. And then double underscore earnings. You can call these variables whatever you want. It's just a good idea to keep it similar to the actual variable you're going to use. And then all you have to do here is just say title equals underscore title. And then genre equals underscore oops, genre. And then star equals underscore star. And year of release equals underscore year of release. And then earnings equals underscore earnings. The idea here is that when we make our movie object, we can send in a title, we can send in a genre, a star, a year of release, and an earnings. And they could all come into brackets, and all of those variables will be filled in. So there'll be whatever's in the bracket is going to get stored inside title, genre, star, that sort of thing. Now, sometimes you might want to make even a third constructor. So a third constructor might be like this. Maybe we'll send in the strings only. So the same idea, genre, and then, so maybe we'll just send those three things in. So the code for those is the same as before. Okay, genre equals underscore genre. Star equals underscore star. Now, what do we do about the ones we don't know? So I know the title, the genre, and the star, they're going to come in. But if I don't know the year of release, what do I do? Frankly, I could just use this. This is my default code. I could just give it a random value. And I can set its earnings to 0. Because I don't know what they are anyways. So I do know the title, the genre, and the star, but I don't know the year of release and the earnings. So I'm just going to use that. So I've got 3 different constructors here. Right now, this is all public variables. So I can demo this real quick and make sure it actually works before I go any further. So let's do that. So I'm going to go back to my main program here. I am going to make those variables private, so I'm going to have to do something later on. But let's just test it before we go any further. Let's create three different movie objects. So movie, let's go M1 equals new movie, bracket, bracket. Movie M2 equals new movie, bracket. Now, so the first one I'm using is a default constructor. That's what I did here. The second one, though, I'm going to use this version right here. So I have to send in a string, genre, star, stuff like that. So the string will be, let's say, Star Wars, genre, action, actually sci-fi, I guess. And the star, Mark Hamill. I think I spelled Hamill wrong. Yeah, I think that's right. What was next? The year of release. So the year of release. I think in 1977. Can't remember. And then how much did it make? I have no idea. Let's just put 300,000. Okay. So now this, I'm sending in 3 strings followed by an int and followed by a double. So what Java is going to do is it's going to say which of these constructors matches that. So the only one that matches is this one. So this is the code that's going to execute. So it's going to assign the title, genre, star, year of release, and earnings. For the third one, I have to send in 3 strings only, a title, genre, and star. Let's try that one out too. Movie M3 equals new movie, Die Hard, action, and Bruce Willis. I think I spelled it all right. That doesn't matter. Okay, so this has 3 strings, right? If you were to mess up by accident and put in like an int, it wouldn't like that, because if you look, it says no constructor that matches that. There's no constructor that has string, 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 int. It has to match exactly. So the pattern, at least. So we don't have that, so let's get going with this. Okay, so that makes my 3 movies. For me to display it, I'm actually going to add a toString method down here, just to make my life easier for printing this. So for printing, the best thing to do is to make a method and type override on top of it, and write public string toString. This is a special method that you can use for printing out objects. And what we're doing is we're overriding the default toString that's built into it right now. And the way I usually make my code for this would be something like that. I would write string output equals quote quote. So I just create an empty string, and then what I do is I attach in all the details. So I'm going to write title, and then plus the title, plus a slash n. A slash n basically means enter. It's like a new line character. And then I'm going to add another line, and let's do the genre as well. Plus genre, plus another enter symbol. Oops. And then we'll do another line, star, plus the star, plus slash n. The year of release, plus year of release. And the enter symbol again. And lastly, the earnings, plus the earnings. This one I don't necessarily need to have a slash n at the end of it. But this method here, this toString method, it must return a string. That's what this is telling me right here. It means the method has to send back a string. So I'm going to have to send back this output that I built up. Oops. Okay, so this is very, very generic. I use this code in pretty much every object I make. I throw it in there where I just print out all the variables in a nice way. And even if I don't even use it in my finished product, it's good for having for testing purposes because you can really quickly print out your objects and see what's inside them. Okay, so let's print these out. So we can go system.out.println m1. And I could go toString if I want. So that would print out the output string of this method. But because toString is a special method that's built in to pretty much every object in Java, you actually don't even need to put the toString with it. M3. Okay. And I'm just going to put in some dashes here, just to make it a bit more readable. Bunch of dashes. Okay, let's see if it works. It should print out all the details that I have in the code here. And looks pretty good. Oh yeah, the first one I was trying to figure out why the title and the star was blank. Title and star was blank because that's what we told it to do, right? I told it to be blank up here and here. So yeah, this actually worked out exactly the way it's supposed to work. Okay, so I'm going to do two more things here. Let's go ahead and change up M3 for a second. We're going to get some keyboard input for M3. I'm not going to do all of them, but let's build M3 with the keyboard. So the way I'm going to do that is use a scanner. Input equals new scanner. And we'll do the system.in. And I'm going to have to fix the imports on this thing. So again, when you make a program, you want to build it up as you go, right? You don't want to write all your code at once. So now what I want to do here is I want to change these three things. So instead of just having them come in right from the code like I'm doing here, I want to ask the user, please enter a movie, please enter a genre, like that. So let's go ahead and ask those questions. So I'm going to write string T, G, and S. So it's going to be title, genre, and star. So system.out.print, please enter a movie title. And T is going to equal input.nextLine. Oops. Okay, that'll get the title. Then we can get the please enter the genre. And G is going to equal input.nextLine. And the last one is S. Print, please enter the movie star. And S equals input dot next line. Okay, so I've got my title filled in from the keyboard, my genre filled in from the keyboard, and my star filled in from the keyboard. Now what I can do is I can send those into the movie object. So we're going to send in, the first thing was the title, the next thing was the genre, and then the next thing was the star. So you can send variables in. You don't have to type it just like this. You can send variables in and it'll work just the same way. So let's go ahead, and I'm also going to remove the toString here. I don't need it. Let's try it out, make sure that this actually works. Okay, so right now it's asking me for the movie title, genre, and movie star. It built these two and it didn't display anything yet. So let's go with, I don't know, Aliens, Action, Sigourney Weaver. Oh my god, I don't even know how to spell it. I think I spelled her name right. Let's see. All right. So there was our default movie. This was the second movie, what's made purely with code. And the third one is the one I used the keyboard for. So that worked out good. The last thing I'm going to do now is I want to go ahead and change these variables to be private variables. Right now, these are public variables. There's no modifier in front of them, which basically means by default they are public. So I could do something like this. I could say m1 system.out.println m1 dot title. That would work. It would actually print out the title of movie M1. Now, sometimes what you want though is you want these variables right here to be what's called encapsulated. It's a concept where you want to keep all of your variables self-contained within a class, which means this class right here can't see this class. It can't see the variables directly inside of it. So what we do is we put a modifier on these things and we put the word private. This is a very common practice in coding, is to make your variables private. Now that creates a problem with something like this. So it says title has private access in movie. I can't see it anymore. So what I have to do is I'm going to make, they're called accessor methods for these, also known as gets and sets. I'll show you how they work. I'm just going to collapse down my constructors because I know that they work well. I don't really need to look at them anymore. And let's go ahead and make our gets and sets. Okay, let's do the title first. So for the title, let's do a get. So the way that the access get method would be like this. Public string get title, bracket, bracket. And inside of here, all we write is return title. So in order for me to see the title, I don't need any input. I do need a string to come out though. And all it's going to do is send me back the title. The gets all look the same. So let's do the other gets as well. So we're going to write public string get genre, and no input is needed for that. And it's just going to be return genre. Remember, if I'm asking the class, show me your title, I don't need to send it anything. So some people, when they make these methods, they put inputs in here, and you don't need that. No input is required. Okay, let's do the star now. So public string get star, bracket, bracket, return star. So far those are all the same. The year of release is slightly different. I have to write public int because it's an integer instead. And it's going to be get, I'll just call it get year. And here it's going to be return year of release. And then the last one is the double. So public double get earnings, bracket, bracket, return earnings. Okay, these are all of my gets. I can use these to access all of my variables and print them out one at a time if I need to. So if I go over here, back to my code that was broken, this is still not going to work, but if I want to print out the title, I can do this. I can use get title now. And get title will send me back the string of the title, which will then print it. So this will work, no problem. So this is how you make your gets. They all look very, very similar. It's just the only difference is the return type and what variable you're sending back, basically. So these are the gets. Let's do the sets now. So let's say I need to change the movie title. I need a method so that I can change it later on. Sometimes it's not always practical to just set the movie at the beginning and then never be able to edit it. Maybe I need to be able to edit it, right? So for me to edit it, I need a way of changing the title. So here's how I would do it. I would go public void set title, and inside the brackets I would put string underscore title. And the code would just be title equals underscore title. That's it. So what set title is going to do here is it's going to have a string as an input. I'm going to call it underscore title. And then all I'm going to do inside the method is just replace the title with underscore title. It's very, very similar to what I did in the constructor. Very, very similar, except I'm only sending one thing in instead of 5, right? The word void right here, void just means that this method is sending nothing back. So these methods I had to go return earnings, return star, that sort of thing. This one has no return. So I can just call set title, send in a new title, and that's it. I don't have to worry about getting anything back. So that's what void does. Okay, all of the other sets are going to be very, very similar. So let's do the genre one now. So public void set genre. And I'm going to go string underscore genre. And then genre equals underscore genre. Okay, it's the same thing over and over and over again. Public void set star, string underscore star, and star equals underscore star. So that's all it does. It's one method to replace one variable. That's all it basically does. Okay, the next one is the year. Public void set year. And inside of here, I need to use an int this time. So it has to be an int underscore year. And we can say year of release equals underscore year. Oh, I guess I could have called this thing year of release. It doesn't actually really matter what I call this. I just know that the year of release has to be replaced with whatever I called that. You could just call it X if you want it even. It doesn't really matter. It's a good idea though to name your variable similar to what you're replacing. Finally, the last thing is the earnings one. So public void set earnings. And we're going to put double underscore earnings. And we say earnings equals underscore earnings. Okay. So I've got my get and my set methods. So let's go ahead and just show quickly how this actually works. So the movie title for M1, when it started, it had nothing, right? Let's go ahead and set its title. Now, because set title is a void method, right? It returns void. I don't need to use it in an equation or anything like that. So what I can do is I can just go m1 dot set title, and we can just call it Space Jam, just like that. Okay, so now its new title is going to be set to Space Jam, and let's print it out and see if it actually shows it. Okay, let's run it. Okay, I gotta enter that movie 3, eh? Home Alone, comedy. Oh my goodness, why did I speak? I know Macaulay Culkin is, I'm definitely spelling this wrong, but that's okay. Okay. So that all worked. Take a look, Space Jam is down here. So M1's movie got set to Space Jam, and I printed it out, just like that. So I know this is a bit of a longer video, but right now, if you look at the code for this movie object, this is a pretty sophisticated object right now. It's going to open everything back up here. It's got 5 private variables. It's got 3 different constructors. One's the default constructor, which is the one where I know nothing about my movie. One takes all my arguments in, and one takes some of my arguments in. Okay, I've got 5 get methods to get every single variable one at a time. I've got 5 set methods. That's in case I need to change them. Now, not every program is going to use all of these methods, but I mean, it's a good habit to put these in. They don't take long to put in once you get the hang of them. And the last thing is I actually put in a toString method. This is a very easy way for me to actually print out the details of my object. And then in my my main method here, I made 3 instances. So M1 is an instance of a movie object, M2 is an instance, and M3 is an instance. I then printed them all out as well. So hopefully you learned something. It's like I said, making objects is actually kind of repetitive, and it's pretty simple once you get the hang of them. And like I said, if you're going to make something different, it's just variables that change. That's it. It's the same concept though. So hopefully you have a better understanding of how objects work in Java and how you can use them to improve your programs. And if you take a look, the main is pretty short here. You know, a lot of the hard code is being done in the object itself, which is really nice. So that's kind of the point of doing objects and classes. So anyways, hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.